Eckhart. I'm from City Israel, and he is from Fair Planet. What's your name?
My name is O.
Hi. So, can you start by telling me what's your organization do and what are the goals of your organization?
Okay, the organization I used to volunteer for it is called Fair Planet. It's an Israeli organization that was formed 4 years ago, actually 5 years ago, by an Zera ex-employee. Zera is a big Israeli seed company. And what this woman that established the organization had the goal of improving the life of small farmers in Africa by providing them the improved seed varieties, vegetable seed varieties, and by giving them technological tools and resources that will allow them to not being poor actually. And
in which countries?
for now, the organization is only active in Ethiopia. We have 4 sites in Ethiopia. There are always conversations about increasing the activity and widening it to. We're in the moment we are remaining in Ethiopia, but in the future maybe we'll expand to other countries in Africa.
Oh, nice. So only Africa or also third world countries?
Right now, only Africa.
Okay. Can you tell me the role that you cover in this organization?
I was just an ordinary volunteer. The structure of the volunteering activity is that most of the volunteers are people like me. Some of them are students, some of them are young Israelis that just got released from the army. Me myself, I am a released soldier. I started volunteering 1 year after I got out of the army. In every site, there is at least one person who is more experienced, who is in the agriculture field, and is usually older.
Okay.
In Israel, all the managers and the important people they analyze the information that we send them, all the expertise, all the specialists, they are in Israel. So I was an ordinary volunteer. I didn't have much experience in agriculture. I mean, before that I worked for half a year in the Golden Heights, you know where it is, in mostly harvests of fruits, but I didn't gain that much experience. But most of the volunteers are like me.
And what motivated you to join Fair Planet?
Well, it may sound a little cliche, but I really wanted to help and bring a change to people that really need it. I think that's really the only reason.
And can you walk me through a typical day of your organization?
It's quite. It's not that permanent. It's a really flexible schedule. It depends on what we do that week. But if I can summarize it, in the morning, usually in the morning, if you are working in the morning, it was in the experiment field. We have an experiment field in which we tested tomatoes and peppers varieties, different varieties, which were brought to us from European seed companies and one Israeli seed company. This was a scientific experiment. We conducted research. We collected data on a regular basis, and then we inserted this data later on that day into the computer and sent it to Israel, where the results were analyzed to determine the goal eventually is to determine which varieties of tomatoes and peppers are suitable for the climate conditions and soil conditions in Ethiopia. On the other, we also worked with our main work. The core of the project is, of course, to help and guide the local farmers. So, in my site in Tajira, there were 60. I think I don't quite remember the numbers, but we had, I think, at least 50 farmers that we guided. Each farmer had to receive a visit according to our agreement with them at least twice a week.
And do you also export vegetables to Ethiopia, or you just had to provide good technologies?
We provided them the seeds, and from the moment they received the seeds, we were side by side with them through the whole process, from the transplanting, even before the transplanting. And after that, from the transplanting to the harvest, through the whole process, we were there, arriving them once a week. One more time during the week, they got a visit from a local instructor from the Ethiopian Agriculture Office. We were there to make sure that they are following our instructions, to see watch their progress, to see if the vegetables, if the plants are in a suitable condition, in that specific time period. Because we know, for example, that by the 10th week, the size of the fruit and the color should be in certain way. So we were there to make sure that it happens. And if not, we were trying to find out what is the problem.
How often do you travel to Ethiopia?
Oh, what?
How often do you travel to Ethiopia?
To Ethiopia? What do you mean?
Like, how often do you go there?
To the farmers.
Yeah.
I worked there. I was in Ethiopia for 4 months, 3 of them in the project of Fair Planet. And in those 3 months, you visit your farmers on a regular basis. Every week, like I said, every week each farmer must be visited twice.
Okay.
One by us and one other time by the local instructor.
And can you tell me what you love the most about your job? Like your volunteer project?
Yes. I think, first of all, of course, it was the sense of making change. I mean, you're really feeling that you're doing something meaningful, and that really helped me go through the difficult times. And there were some difficult times because Ethiopians are not easy people. Their mentality is very different. And also, I enjoyed the agricultural work, helping the farmers. It was very satisfying and also very interesting. I think that this field of tomato, it was very interesting. Yeah.
And what are the difficulties you met during your part and the challenges you face every day?
Well, like I said a minute ago, and most of my difficulties were handling and making interactions with the locals, because their mentality is so different from us, from our mentality. The way their perception of the world is like 180 degrees to the other way. So you have to approach them you have to learn how to approach them, how to make them do what you are telling them to do, because
and how do you do that?
You have to learn it through time. It can't really be taught, because I will give you an example. When in Israel, let's say that I was a farmer instructor in Israel. If I went to a local farmer in Israel and I told him, and I would ask him, how many times did you irrigate your field last week? And he would tell me 3 times. I would be 100% sure that he's telling me the truth, because that's how things work in here. But they are lying, not because they are bad people, not because they think lying is okay. It's because they don't want to disrespect the person that's standing in front of them, and they see it as a legitimate way of communicating. So that's only one example of the things that create barriers and gaps between me and them that you have to find some way to
Because
overpass them.
the culture is
Yes.
very hard to deal with.
Yes.
And what is an example of a project that you have been working on?
Well, I described to you earlier what our work looked like, and you mean like a project that was only mine?
Mhm.
Well, I had this annoying office little job that I had, like in every visit of the farmers, the local structures that were there in each visit with us. They wrote down the data, some information of the field, the condition of the fields, the sizes of the fruits and the color and the shapes, things like that, and put them in reports. And then we were given these reports, and at some point they decided in Israel that all these reports all the data must be transferred to the software, so they will be able to analyze it. So what I had to do is to take this big folder and put all the numbers in the computer. It took some time, and it was quite monotonous job, but
You manage it.
it was necessary because for them. So
Okay.
I did it after hours, the job hours, in my spare time.
Okay. So you told me that you're a new volunteer. It's just 3 years that you're volunteering for Fair Planet.
3 months.
Oh, 3 months.
3 months, not 3 years.
Okay.
I was there for 3 months.
So what are, according to you, the attributes a person needs to have for volunteer, maybe for Fair Planet or for any other NGO?
I think the main thing is that the person that wants to volunteer must do it for the right reasons. He has to really have this feeling of real desire to help others. If a person doesn't have this quality, it won't last for long, and I've seen it in my own eyes. And that's the main thing. And also a volunteer must be prepared for what's coming. I mean, he can't be spoiled too much. He needs to know. He must know that he comes to a place very different from his home, a place with a third world country. A third world country means that the conditions are low, the people are less nice, and things from that kind. And these things that you can't escape from it while you're there, because you live in this reality each hour and every minute. So you have to
be ready.
you have to be prepared. You can't be spoiled. What else? That's it, I think.
And let's say a person like covers all these characteristics. What are the tips you can give to a person that wants to volunteer?
The most important word is one word: patience. You have to be patient with these people. If you are not patient, then you will collapse. You have to understand that these people are very different than you, and they can be quite annoying, and this is a gentle word, annoying. So you have to be gentle, you have to be patient. When you come, you have to come from the right motivation. Your motivation must be
Pure.
the will to help and contribute to this local community. Not from, if your motives will be different, I don't think that this specific person will be able to last very long. And also my advice for someone who wants to volunteer this kind of work: be modest. What I mean is that it's very easy to think that you are better than them because you come from a richer place and you have more knowledge than them and you are more enlightened, liberal than them. But you have to remember that they are not bad people, and they are not stupid, and they are also not stupid, of course. They only come from a different place and didn't have, they were just born to a certain place with much worse condition than we know. So you have to be modest, you have to know your place and look them, see them as equals.
Okay. And last question, how does the work environment look like? And also, is it Fair Planet more an individual job or a team job?
Well, it's dependent on a lot of terms. First of all, Fair Planet, what I really love about this organization is that regardless to how much experience we had, me myself, for example, I have zero experience, like I said before. Nevertheless, each volunteer is trusted and is given a lot of responsibilities and is motivated to come with new ideas and make things his own way. You have a very open space to act, and so it's dependent on the individual volunteer how will he to what place will he lead his work. You understand?
Yeah.
And also another thing is that the individual, not individual work, is very connected linked to what we are doing in the moment. If you are, for example, in the end of my volunteering period time, we had a harvest. It was the point in the season when you harvest all the tomatoes in all the fields. So when we came to our experiment field, it was a teamwork because you have to work together in order to harvest large amounts. But when you're concentrated in guiding, when you come to the local farmers, to their fields and guide them, you come alone. I mean, there is a driver that take you there, and also there is the local agricultural structure that will translate what you're saying into Amharic, but you are alone, you're by yourself, and you make the decisions there in the field. So when you do that, it's more individual.
It's a combination of
It's
both.
a combination of both.
Okay. Thank you so much, Or. I learned a lot about your organization.